Hello everybody, and today's video is going to be on the topic which I guess more or less people might be interested, even if they don't openly talk about it with their families or their friends or the group that they feel they have to create an image into. And this particular talk is based on pornography, porn, and a little definition on how do you define a pervert. Now, why did I have to make this video in the first place is because after my 3 videos on incest, I will in one line explain what incest is. Incest is when a person has physical or sexual relationship with the family members and relatives is called as incest. Now, after my 3 videos on incest, I received n number of comments. I mean, my inbox, my comment box is really flooding with comments, out of which some people seem to agree with what I'm saying, and definitely there is a group which seems to not agree or disagree with what I'm saying. I have no intention of changing anybody's thought process if they so much believe in it, but I mentioned in my first video on incest, and even in this video I would like to clarify that because I am into mental health, I believe I need to create an awareness if I think certain things are going to have its ill effects later in life. Now, I will only just do what I feel is right as a professional into this area. Of course, it's not my job, and it's none of my it's not my duty to it's none of my business to interfere into people's personal lives and choices that they make. I've been receiving so many messages after my incest, and people have been telling me that, okay, ma'am, how can you, because I mentioned in one of my messages in one of my videos that I don't watch porn, so I cannot tell you much, but I think this pornography is something that's really putting people into these kind of fantasizing and these kind of experiments with family members, because you have the entire world open to you. At least I think you can spare your family when your physical intimacy is concerned. But they question me that, ma'am, you don't watch porn. How can you say that, pornography is bad? Yes, that was a very, very intelligent and very, very smart question somebody raised, and I understood that, okay, I haven't watched porn, but I know where is this coming from, because naturally when I have my cases, when people talk to me, I understand that where is this thing coming from. So if one person, one fortunate part in our culture, or I think in our mentality, is if one person watches something, he or she finds it very interesting, very seducing, very sensuous, they want to talk about it. They want to really share what has made you very happy and what has made you feel the way you are. So you want to share that. Now, when someone's sharing their experience, okay, I felt this, I felt that, and it was so sensuous, it was so seductive, etc., the other people feel like, oh, I am missing out on this. So there is this particular mentality of FOMO. It's fear of missing out, and people tend to follow that. Now, the major area wherein this group falls into this FOMO is the women category. I'm literally disappointed. It is the women category and the teenage category, because both these people are very ignorant. They are not exposed to the right kind of sexual education or sexual literacy, in what I would say. So what happens is, when they hear people talking about it, when teenagers are concerned, when they hear some of their seniors talk about it or their peers talking about it, they definitely want to go and check it out. And when one particular person says that, okay, I have had physical relationship with a lady who was older to me, who was my aunt, or who was my neighbor, or who was my friend's mother, or etc., etc., then the entire herd wants to follow it. They must be, and because the person who has experienced it, the way he or she describes it is in a fashion that, okay, he or she has had the best time of life. So at that age, when the physical urge is at its peak, it's very difficult for these young generations to control. Now, when the women category is concerned, it's very unfortunate that in our country, we women we are not trained, or rather we are instilled this. We have just put in our heads that if you discuss your sexual needs, you are considered to be a person of a bad character. So women, what they do is, even if they also have their sexual needs, like men, or maybe a little lesser or more, but they do have their needs. Now, because they are never encouraged to speak about sexual needs and sexuality in general, these women, they keep it within themselves. It's all suppressed inside, and when they get a chance, it's like a spring that just comes up. And this is exactly what's happening, because now they have also started watching pornography, because they don't know who else or what is the other way or medium with which they can get the knowledge of sexuality. So all the people who are deprived of sexual education, they consider pornography as a medium of sexual education. So please understand, now I am going to make this as a very open claim. Pornography is not an authentic way to get your sexual education. Please understand this, people. Pornography is definitely not the right and the authentic medium. So if you people cannot get right sexual education, you have to voice it up. It is your right. People are going to judge you. People definitely are going to judge you. Your image can be can definitely be spoilt. Now, when I am talking about sexuality, there is a considerable amount of audience who might be thinking that, okay, she is continuously talking about sex. Oh, she must be continuously thinking about sex. I don't care about that category, honestly, because I don't really think about these narrow-minded people. I'm not addressing to those narrow-minded people at all. But when you talk about it, it is your right to know about things. It is your right to know about something that you are going to get into one day or the other. Now, all the women who are going to get married, none of them are taught about, none of them are spoken with about sex as a subject. It is considered as a stigma. It is considered as a taboo. It is considered as something which is evil. So if it is so evil, why are you getting women married? Why are you getting them into a place wherein they are essentially supposed to satisfy their partners sexually? And in the whole process, when their sexual satisfaction is concerned, it is never taken into account. So that is one. When I observed so many cases, I realized that a lot of women are encouraging this, and especially middle-aged women are encouraging this incest with their family members, especially with their sons, only because they think that is the safest place. Their image will be retained, things will not come out in public, they will not get caught, and their sexual desires are satisfied. Unfortunately, what they are not thinking is that by doing this, you are making your child, you are making your son convert into a pervert. Basically, see, every child, be it a man or a woman, be it a girl or a boy, as soon as he or she enters puberty, they become very conscious of the other gender's body parts and organs. In that condition, if you do not sit one-to-one and explain it to them that, okay, you might be feeling curious, you might be having your urges, and this is happening because you have hit your hormonal stage or because you have hit your puberty. Instead of doing that, if as grown-ups and as parents, if you're going to take undue advantage of your child's curiosity and your child's physical urges, I think it is extremely a selfish move, because for you to satisfy your sexual needs for any grown-up, there are other avenues if you can openly speak about it. But now it is your coward attitude which is preventing you to talk about it, only because you will be questioned. So say if a woman asks for divorce because she's not sexually satisfied, she will be questioned. There will be people there are going to be people who are going to say, oh, she's very sexually oriented, she has sex on her mind all the time. I mean, that's okay, but it is your need, it is one of your basic needs. So sexual need is like the need of food, clothing or shelter. So if people are going to shy away from this particular need, and if you are going to get your needs satisfied by your own children, can you even imagine what you are making your children turn into? So my whole problem, or the whole pain or the discomfort or the disappointment that I have with these people is that intelligent, grown-up, educated women and men and whoever, if you are taking advantage of a teenager's curiosity of sexuality and sex as a concept, and if you're satisfying your desires, then you are definitely making that person think only in terms of sexuality when the other gender is concerned. And then these women come up and say that nowadays children, or nowadays men, there is, nobody values women, are still viewed as a sex object. If you don't want to objectify, you don't want to get objectified, then at least start with your own sons. Teach them how to respect women. Even when sons are concerned, you have to essentially, how much ever you find your mother or your sister attractive, you have to understand that you have to draw a line somewhere. This is exactly the difference between you and the animals who do not have any differentiation, who do not have any relationship norms as such. So you want to, if you're belonging to a civilized community, if you want to identify yourself as belonging to a society, then you have to follow certain norms. I mean, there is nothing wrong in following those norms, because at least it is putting some kind of a thought into you that why certain things have to be restricted. Otherwise, you are not going to keep any limits anywhere, and eventually you are going to be putting yourself into a shameful position someday. Because I have come across cases wherein there are guys who have been telling me that they want to touch anybody and everybody in their family's body parts. I mean, is this what we are supposed to do when you stay in a family or in a society? Are you supposed to literally go groping people because you have those sexual desires not satisfied? And now this is what I call as pervert. Now people are telling, like, I strongly believe that all those people who are into incest have a very strong attitude of pervertness into them. And what is a pervert? A pervert is when you keep on observing certain things only from a sexual point of view. That is a pervert. So I remember there was someone who said that, okay, every woman has a sexual aspect to her. I agree, and there is nothing to deny in that. But if you're going to view every woman from a sexual point of view, that okay, I can have sex with her and her and her and her and him and him and him, I think you are only taking the other gender as a sexual object. And that's not what individuals are supposed to be. This is unfortunate thing, because even today on professional social sites, men and women, they are hitting on each other, and there are pervert comments passed. There are advances made wherein when it comes in messages that we can be friends with we can be friends with benefits, or we can have relationship with no strings. I think these things are just encouraged by the day because of certain attitudes being put in at the very stage, at the fundamental level of the family. And when incest is concerned, I strongly believe that family are supposed to instill certain value systems in the children. Now, lot of guys who are coming from, who have addressed to me, of which lot of people are also coming from rural areas or from areas which are not very forward and from conservative and narrow-minded families. I agree that they cannot really go and speak about this to people like that. But then definitely when you are Googling up, why you're Googling porn to get into sexual education? Why can't you Google about sexuality in general? There are a lot of, Google can give you amazing information if you want right information. But the point is, at that point of time, you're only pleasure oriented. So you don't even want to Google the right kind of information. There are a lot of YouTubers who are giving right education. So please go and see those videos. Why do you only want to see the porn videos? Now you are putting yourself continuously, see, if I have a bad thought and if I'm encouraging that thought more, it is going to become rigid. And then there are complaints. People come and tell me that it's very difficult for me now. I simply cannot get out of this relationship, or I simply cannot get out of this addiction of porn. I don't know what to tell them, because you have encouraged this thought, you have encouraged this habit of yours, and now if you're complaining that you cannot get rid of it, no third person can come and help you in this. It's you who have to again be strict with yourself and come out of this habit of yours. So after all these things, I'm really sorry if I've offended a lot of people, and there are suggestions when people give me on my YouTube, and they tell me that ma'am, you should instill fear of God, and you should tell them that you will be punished by God. See, as a psychologist, as a mental health professional, my job is to make people free from fear and not put fears into them. There were cases when there was this girl who had zero sexual education, who got trapped into her brother's incest relationship with her brother, into an incest relationship, and she had no idea. She was not using any protection and nothing, and I was worried for her as to what's going to happen, because coming from that conservative family, what if she would have conceived? I really didn't know what to do. She had no idea what she was getting into. Her younger brother is explaining things to her and she was getting into it out of curiosity. Now, these kind of things really were very upsetting, and I, in spite of having genuinely, I was worried for her. I still did not want to make her fearful, because that's not what I didn't want to make her mind weaker. So my point is that please be strong-minded. Please understand your rights to make the right choices. First and foremost, as a human, as a whatever individual you are, a male or a female, you should know your rights. After knowing your rights, you should have the confidence in asking for your rights to your elders, and asking and talking maturely with your adults. I, as a mother, I have spoken to both my teenager children. I have made them sit down and I have spoken to lot of aspects of sexuality openly, because I don't want them to Google it up and go into the porn site. If you don't have those kind of elders around you, I'm sure you have your mentors. There is somebody who can help you. And if not, then please Google up. As I said, there are a lot of nice YouTubers, there are a lot of nice Google sites which can help you with the right kind of sexual information, rather than getting trapped into those adults who are using you for their selfish desires. So kindly free yourself from these teenagers, and please free yourself from being a pervert and a porn addict. I am not saying porn is bad. I am really not claiming that. Porn can be really helpful to single people. Porn can be really helpful at times when you are fighting loneliness. It's a useful mechanism for masturbation, but it doesn't mean that you get hooked onto it and you crave for it. So anything that you start craving for is an addiction. So if you're craving for porn, then it's an addiction. Please identify. So with this, I'm sorry that the video went on for a little too long, but I wanted to please explain it to you all, the real definition of a porn and pervert, and why is it affecting the society so badly. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope this video was helpful to you all. Thank you so much.